algorithms, to name just a few. The variety of these species of rules is a clue to a hidden history of what a rule is and does. Since Greco-Roman antiquity, three principal semantic clusters have mapped out the meanings of rules. Chapter 2. Tools of measurement and calculation, models or paradigms, and laws. The subsequent history of rules is one of proliferation and concatenation, yielding ever more species of rules and ever more exemplars of each species. The result is a cat's cradle of complexity, almost as complex as culture itself. The three meanings of rules, nonetheless, spin out scarlet threads that wind their way through the historical labyrinth over millennia. By adopting a longue durée perspective and canvassing rules from many diverse sources, from monastic orders to cookbooks, from military manuals to legal treatises, from calculation algorithms to practical how-to instructions, this book traces the long career of this ancient trio of meanings in the learned and vernacular traditions that share Greco-Roman roots and that have evolved together over more than 2 millennia. Chapters 2 and 3 reconstruct how rules functioned as supple models from antiquity through the 18th century. Chapters 4 and 5 describe how algorithms of calculation worked in practice from ancient times until the rise of algorithms of mechanical calculation during the 19th and 20th centuries. Chapters 6 and 7 contrast rules at their most specific, as nitty-gritty regulations, with rules at their most general, as Olympian natural laws and laws of nature, from the 13th through the 18th centuries. Chapter 8 examines how moral, legal, and political rules bend and break in the face of recalcitrant exceptions, from the 16th through the 20th centuries. Three oppositions structure this long history of rules. Rules can be either thick or thin in their formulation, flexible or rigid in their application, and general or specific in their domains. These oppositions can overlap, and some are more relevant than others, depending on which of the three kinds of rule is in question. Rules understood as models tend to be thick in formulation and flexible in application. Chapters 2 and 3. A thick rule is upholstered with examples, caveats, observations, and exceptions. It is a rule that anticipates wide variations in circumstances and therefore requires nimble adaptation. Thick rules incorporate at least hints of this variability in their very formulation. In contrast, rules understood as algorithms tend to be thinly formulated and rigidly applied, though they too can sometimes thicken. Chapters 4 and 5. An algorithm need not be brief, but it is seldom designed to deal with unusual or simply diverse cases, because thin rules implicitly assume a predictable, stable world in which all possibilities can be foreseen. They do not invite the exercise of discretion. This is unproblematic when the thin rules are confined to solving textbook problems, for example, in simple arithmetic. But the annals of computer algorithms are by now full of cautionary tales about programs for everything from facial recognition to paying your taxes that were tailored too thinly and enforced too rigidly to fit a more variegated reality. Both thick and thin rules can be either minutely specific, a model for making this kind of table out of this kind of wood, or an algorithm for computing the area of this irregular polygon only, or sweepingly general. Rules understood as laws can also run the gamut from specific regulations governing parking on this street on Sundays to the generality of the Decalogue, or the second law of thermodynamics, chapters 6 and 7. Both specific and general laws can be applied either rigidly or flexibly. Rules that team with specifics, like the sumptuary regulations discussed in Chapter 6, may need some give in application, if only because the specifics change so quickly.